Good morning, legends. We're going to go through the best options, 450 and below. We're going to do a separate video. There's going to be 450 to 650, and then we're going to use 651 and above today. Just three separate ones. I think will be a little bit different, a bit of fun, that's for sure, and a little bit of the Origin fallout here as well. So, what a game that was. Absolutely incredible footy. New South Wales were too good, and kind of went to my game plan. It was pretty funny. I had a lot of my game plan centered around Angus Crichton and that left edge, and then cops a neck injury in the first couple of minutes and had to go off. I was like, oh, well, see how that goes. But he came back on and they did great down that left-hand side through Luai, taking that gap there, which, we thought, would happen. They went to Crichton a lot, then he was able to take a gap there. Obviously, Bradman got that try down the left-hand side, and then a bit of Moses magic on that dummy and go, which is awesome. So, New South Wales were just too good. They couldn't score in that first half, but they're really, really cooking the Queenslanders there, and they were getting so tired for sure. And that showed in the second half, and some of the runs at the end, even by Hammer, and these guys just had nothing left in the tank, and left a bit too much to do for guys like Ponga to come on when they hardly had the ball. So, an absolutely incredible win by New South Wales, one that I'll definitely remember for a while. I haven't been able to see them win too many, close series anyway. We had the one where they dominated, winning some ridiculous margin, that game over in Perth and stuff like that. So we've had a few of those, but nothing really like this that I can remember in any type of recent history in the last 10 years. So really, really cool that one was. So just a quick one on the casualty ward. We had Moses get his bicep torn, which is pretty tough right at the end of the game too, after he would have so much adrenaline going up, down all game, and then for the try to score, to happen, and then 10 minutes later have his bicep ruptured. He was pretty frustrated by it, but he'll at least be able to celebrate, last night, today, and the rest of the week. And he's got an early mark, unfortunately, on the season. He'll be having surgery, and I did see it during the game as well that Edwards was limping. Turns out he did his PCL, so not good. Not good on that front, on that one, unfortunately, for Dill. Looks like anywhere up to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks there for him. He also already wasn't playing this week, so probably not too much of a big deal for most, but it is a big deal for anyone who does own Edwards in fantasy or Supercoach there. So that's that. A few players that I am concerned about, but what about the incredible goal kicking of Zach Lomax? It was an interesting one, wasn't it? Like which player they were going to actually pick to goal kick. You had Lomax in there. You had Mitch Moses. There's one other one I'll get to in a sec, who are the other goal kickers in a second, but a few guys I'm definitely concerned about. So Pat Carrigan made 58 tackles. Broncos I have the most concern for. He had the most run meters and most tackles on his side, and obviously the most fantasy points there as well. And you look on the other side, Payne Haas had the most fantasy points at 56 as well. Not that means too much, but it does mean that he played decent minutes. So with the Broncos boys playing at 5:30, so in a little less than 2.5 days now on Saturday, there is a bit of concern, even with the fact that they need to win and all these type of factors there. I do have a little bit of concern for Walshy as well. He seemed to be carrying a few, he was down a few times, shoulder, back at one point he was grabbing when he was on the ground there. So he was definitely battered and bruised, and I'm not sure how he's going to go backing up. We'll have to see. You had Cobbo there. I think he should be okay to back up, although he's been carrying a bit of a problem over the last month as well. So we'll keep an eye out on him for guys in this Broncos side. For Carrigan, he ended up playing the full 80 minutes at lock. Massive meters, massive tackles as well. I wonder if he'll play or he'll just come off the bench and play 40 and kind of be there as a leader in the side. That could be more the play, just with them needing his presence for sure. So he's definitely someone I'm worried about. Ben Hunt, he copped a head knock. That was pretty nasty. That one there off Spencer Lenu, trying to tackle him one-on-one, put his head in the wrong spot. He did come back on and play. Just 24 minutes for him, and they have a bye anyway, so it's not a problem. I wanted to shout out Tom Dearden as well. His effort and his quality of play, he does play. It's just like I don't know. It's obviously the team around you as well, but Dearden goes into another level when he plays Origin. It was very similar to Thurston. He had to try and carry the Cowboys for a long time, but he just he kicked every single goal in Origin. He played so well, and then would miss random ones playing for Cowboys. But Dearden, absolutely incredible there in that one. Hammer looks fine defensively for the first half of the game, and he did look like he got gassed a bit, given he hasn't played in recent history as well. and didn't play a full game last Origin, was when he played his last game. Cotter, 66 minutes for him. Did start on the edge, but he made a tremendous amount of tackles as well. I think he got all the way up to 50 something as well. I think it just went past that 53. Yeah, 53 tackles for Rube, 7 misses, but he gets involved in everything. He didn't look like he was getting as battered as he did in game 2. I'm hoping that's something helpful, but 66 minutes, still super high, playing mostly in the middle, about 50 minutes in the middle there, 16 on the edge. So I'm a little bit worried about him backing up, given he's the only person in my fantasy team. And then you've got Kirk Abel at big minutes as well. Jeremiah Nanai, 55 off the bench. I think that helps with him backing up for the Cows this week. Harry Grant, 56 minutes after having his sternum problem. He actually played pretty good, a decent game, I thought, running the ball as well. He's definitely a worry for this week. He has been named to start, but with the factor that, he's been carrying that injury coming into it, I'm a little bit worried about it. I thought Val Holmes on the wing, it obviously kept him out of a lot of the tackling, so I expect him to back up for the Cows there as well. And Mo Fodawaker, he should be okay. 42 minutes for him. Ponga will be fine to back up. Felice Kafusi to 16 minutes there, just starting. And that was the end of him. So, that was the Maroons there. And then Edwards we won't see for a few weeks. Bradman Best with a cut to the lip. That was pretty gross, but pretty cool at the same time for Bradman. I wonder if guys like To'o will get a rest there. Stephen Crichton worked really hard. I think he'll try and back up for the doggies there. Lomax was incredible again. Luai and Moses, shout outs to them. They absolutely tore this game apart and did a cracking job to get the win. Luai's had a really, really good season, and anyone get a laugh at his him waving off the Queensland fans when they were leaving, and then his Instagram post last night out the front of Caxton saying goodnight. He plays up to it, so fair play to him. I know a lot of people hate him, but as a New South Wales supporter, he's come in clutch this year and he's played really, really well. So congrats to him. Shout out to Edwards, but he's a freak, man. 243 meters, 105 off the kick return. So he was, part of that, a lot of it, and 60 post contact. He just does find those little gaps here and there and picks up that extra 5 or so. Almost has breaks a lot of the time. So he was awesome. Gerbo, congrats, Captain Gerbo and Captain Isaiah Yeo. Basically, Yeo was out there for longer than Gerbo every game, but did his job. Similar to that of Kafusi, come on, do your 20-25 minutes and jump off. He was solid. Robson is 67 minutes there. Watson ended up playing 16, so I'm not too worried about Watson, although he had ice on his knees after the game. But a few people that own him currently were a little bit worried about that. Murray with 54 minutes, he got sin-binned from the bench, so that was pretty wild. A few people saying that Olakau'atu, because he walked on the field, is going to get a lengthy suspension too. Not sure how that works. The players, these guys, Murray jumped on from the bench, he gets sin-binned. I don't think he's going to get sanctioned, but we'll have to find out over the next 24 hours or something like that as to how that one went. Surely Crichton gets a rest now. Got the neck issue. He played the 65. He dominated. Played big, got big run meters and everything like that. So surely he gets a rest. Paynas for 56. He probably comes out and plays probably 50 or something like that. 45 maybe for the Broncos this week. He obviously got it involved in plenty. 120 meters for him. And he ended up with 30 tackles for no misses. So a decent stint, but didn't have to go nuclear and get 40-odd tackles or something like that. Isaiah Yeo's already resting this week. Mitch Barnett, a cracking debut for him as well, 48 minutes. And it felt like Spencer Leniu was out there for a lot longer, but I suppose it was either side of halftime, and you got that halftime break, and he did great, 98 run meters, 38 post contact. The one, that couple there where he just ran dead straight at him was pretty wild. But we'll obviously get some information across these guys over the next 24 hours there, especially Reece Robson there, 67 minutes, hasn't played the last two, so I wonder if he'll back up after this one. But we'll get to that a little bit later in the day, or either tomorrow as well. We'll have some more information. So let's go down the list, hooker, all the way through to wing fullback, of guys under 450k that you should have a look at. Some are really, really good buys, some aren't. So Tom Starling, I have him in the really, really good buy category. So he's had a couple of weeks in a row now where he's gone 68 and 76 minutes for a 53 and a 51. Plus 50 tackles in both of them. A couple of tackle breaks last game, a little bit on the run meter side, but a few less than what we expect. But he's been Good morning. Tackling is hard out there, which has been good. So for Starling, I have him as a terrific buy. He's not owned by a tremendous amount of people. If you want anyone under 400k, he is number one on the priority list. If you don't need a hooker, I'll have another guy in the mids that I think could be a really good buy for you in a little bit. That's Starling. Very, very simple. Expecting him to average about 40, let's say. So he's gone over that the last couple. But if you have him at a 40 average, playing 60 odd minutes, then that means he's going to hit 150, 200k plus in price rises, which would be really, really cool. So that's Tom Starling. Simply, 419k. Nathan Brown is extended out of the 450 range for anyone asking after I get through Sipley. But 419k, he's priced at 30 now. And he actually has been moved to the bench. So I'm not sure if that changes things too much. It probably doesn't mean he plays 51 minutes because when you start, you get that first stint and then you come back on. I don't think that he's going to be a guy that gets sort of 20 before halftime and then plays the next 30. So it's probably going to be closer to 40 minutes. And at that rate, I'd expect him to be closer to the mid to high 30s. So if you have him minutes under 50, minutes over 30 across his career, he actually averages 40.7 in 38.9 minutes. So that's at the best range, I think, at the moment. If he has that PPM of over 1, which he has had at certain times, like this year when he's done that, he's gone one game over a PPM of 1 just under, the next one over by a long way, 1.2, 1.3, and then just under last game there in 2 games ago in round 18. So he can definitely do that. If he can get 39 minutes, I think he's still a good buy because that's a high 30s average and is not owned by a tremendous amount of people, but he's a little bit expensive at this point. And maybe you'd like to go for someone else. And the Sipley is not the one that I've got as a target, just because he's that little bit more expensive, but a really solid one still at that. Similar boat, I think, for Daniel Saifiti at 410k, priced at the 29 there, hitting a 30 average across the season. But the last few weeks has been really, really good for him. So he's gone 43, 48, 36 the last 3 weeks there, and that PPM was a bit down in that last game. Tackle numbers are a little bit down. Had one offload, but no tackle breaks like he did in that round 17 clash against the Eels there. So if you were to be selecting between Saifiti and Sipley, I still think Sipley off the bench is probably the play. But again, if you look for Saifiti under 60 minutes and over 30 in the last couple of years, you can see there's some low ones in there. So you get some mid-20s, you get some low 30s. This is all this year, obviously. If you look back to 2023, when he gets this type of range, there's still those a mixture of those 30s, but then he has 40s, but he has games upwards into the mid 50s minutes and stuff like that. But still, 26 in 51 minutes, 33 in 58 minutes. Then you'll have a better game. Had a better game before that, so a little bit up and down. Simply safer in terms of when he's out in the field if he gets those minutes, but is he going to get those minutes now that he's off the bench? Sammy Hughes, I've got to throw him back in there just for a bit of fun. 377k with Max King out now. Him and obviously Curran are going to be the slightly bigger minute guys. And the thing with Hughes in recent history is the fact that he will have a bigger minute game like he did and got 41 in round 17. But then he goes back into 20s and 30s. And I probably expect him to play somewhere in this range here from round 5 all the way through to round 12, where he averaged high 30s, so like 38, 39 minutes there. And you can see here, apart from that round 12 game, he had a lot of scores in the 30s and a couple of 40s games as well. Priced at 27, he could easily have 8 to 10 points of value and kind of just be a really solid scorer for the back end of the year. I think with guys like these types of players that you're looking at here in this range, you are not looking to sell them in the back end. You're just hoping for someone that can play every game. And that's what we're seeing with Starling, with Sipley, with Saifiti, and also Hughes, is that they're very likely to play each game and do a solid job for you and score somewhere in that 30 to 40 range. If you need to play them when you've got a couple of guys out or concussion, these types of things, this is when you grab one of these guys. And I think this week, if you're making sort of 3 or 4 trades, you're going to at least have to get one of these cheap guys, maybe even 2. 2 probably feels like a little bit much unless it's probably the 2 best guys on this list. And I think one of them's coming up now or in the next one. It just feels like a little bit much. We also have, next week, guys like Geimer, if he's not actually injured, that could come in and be a cash out for you. Actually, I forgot to mention someone like Casey McLean. You could be a cash out, but I think it's way too early to have a straight cash out that's going to play 1 week or something like that and then not come back. So that's where we're in this range here. So that's Sam Hughes. All right, the next gun buy on my list, I think, is actually Bailey Hayward. So I'm actually expecting with King going down that his minutes stay up pretty well where he's at right now, in that 48 to 54 range. He did that back through round 7 all the way through to 13 when they had a bunch of injuries. So I do expect him to go back to that. His round 14 effort there, he had a HIA, so 7 in 15 minutes. So that actually dropped his price down a little bit, and he's averaging 28, with price at 25. So I think with these minutes here, he'll continue to build as well, but that's a 34 and a 41. He's got, a few 30s in there. He does have some 20s in the 40s minutes, but I think he's improved as a player as well, and these tackle numbers are going up. Yes, he's missing a few, but he's making a few more run meters as well. At the last 2 games, he's gone 80 plus in both of them, and it doesn't look like we can get offloads out of him. He did pick up 2 tackle breaks last game, but it's probably not expected long term. So for Hayward, I think you probably can bank on about a 34 to 35 average for him. And at this point in the season, he's going to be there every year. He's been one of their better players, I think, and has been a really good link man in the middle. No more buys for the rest of the year. He could do a really easy job for you at 351. A chance he gets dual position, but if you do need a half, which is strange that he's a half, but in the mids, could get that dual. He probably should, to be fair, because he's definitely playing as a middle and has all year since round 6. But who knows with guys that play some bench, some lock. He's played 4 games at lock. So if they look at that and go, well, he's definitely playing middle, he'll get the dual as well, which could be pretty fun. But we'll see how that one plays out. All right, a little bit cheaper, still in the mids. Jesse Bromwich, 322k. He plays 200th or something, 250 or something crazy last week. But for him there, played 49 minutes. He's gone 42, but they're all in the mid 20s to 30. So he's not high on my list. I think you can pay that little bit extra for Hayward, or these guys a little bit above that, near the 400k mark, and get somewhere in the mid 30s to 40. Whereas Bromwich, I'm expecting 25 to 32, somewhere there. So not super exciting. Could do a job. I also had to mention this one for a bit of a laugh as well. Brendan Piakura, the blast from the past, I only got rid of him last week, so it's still fairly fresh in my mind. But 25 in 80 minutes and 12 in 80 minutes for his last 2 efforts. Pretty exciting, isn't it? I don't think you can go anywhere near him and pick all of the guys before him, maybe apart from Bromwich, instead of Piakura. All right, we go to the centres. Isaac Tungo, 422. I'm not sure if we're going to have all of the Origin stars back up. Obviously, we don't have Yo, we don't have Edwards, but the guys outside of that, in Martin and in Toll, these types of guys. But 422k, price at 30. Still has an average of 39 for the season, which is wild. Obviously, when Cleary was playing at the beginning of the year, he had a couple of great games, but he doesn't look anything like that at the moment. Still round 4, round 5, round 7, he went 37, 41, 51, which is really nice. And then since then, it's just been some base stat games. And the last 2 have been a bit better, 34 and 42. He still has errors, so many errors every game. That's actually wild. What is he averaging this year in errors? 1.7. 2023. Is that only 1.7? Wow. 2023, he was 1. So there you go. Not great. Penalties were 0.3. Penalties are at 0.9. So his discipline has been so bad this year. So bad. So he's losing. It's actually not crazy. It's like 4 points. Or a little bit less in errors and penalties. Just in that alone that he's leaving on the table. 2.2 misses, 1.9 misses. So everything discipline-wise has just been a lot. Well down, unfortunately, for Isaac. We know what he can do. 2023, he ended up averaging 49.3, and that last little stretch of games, 55, 62, 77, and 97 to finish with a 37 in 60 minutes was absolutely wild. So we obviously see here across the season, he can have these stretches where he plays really poorly. To be fair, I didn't even realize that. 30s for the first 3 games. Then from round 7, round 8, round 14, 15, he went 41 with his highest and 225s to 27. So he can definitely have low stretches. We just need him scoring tries again, and he could be good. But no buy for the rest of the year. I reckon he plays most of them and could be okay. All right, wing fullbacks. We got a bunch of them to finish. 354 for Alex Johnston. Coming off a massive score, though, 66. I did have to mention the South guys because they do come up against the Tigers this week. So AJ, I'm going to mention Jacob Gagai as well. But for AJ, it has been a pretty average season. His high score was 42 in round 1. Then it was 34 in round 15 before this 66 there. So he can definitely do it. He could definitely do it against the Tigers. It's the first time he had a double this year, and he could definitely do that again in this week. But if you want to take that plunge, go for it. He will play the rest of the year, though. Jacob Gagai, what a season he has it's turned out to be for the last 5 weeks for him. His lowest score in the last 5 weeks, 31. His highest is 63. Picked up 3 tries with a 49 last week, which is pretty good. But he was off for some time last week with the HIA, and he at the start of the game, and then ended up scoring 3 tries. So it was pretty cool for him. So yeah, if you expect, he's been getting sort of 30, got 39, 31 just in base there, 1 try saver, 1 line break. So yeah, tiny little bit of attacking stats, but has been hitting turnover tackles as well, which is not always expected, and try savers. So he has 2 in the last 4 weeks. So can you bank on that? Probably not. He's very, very expensive now. I still probably would go for Johnston over Gagai, just at the price point. You're paying an extra sort of 90k, aren't you? Yeah, 90k exactly for that one there. But still a solid one to think about. Jackie Howarth. Actually, I forgot to put him in the edge position, but he's playing centre at the moment, and I think he'll end up getting, he's likely to get some dual position as well. But Jack Howarth, 312k. He's come in with, in starting games anyway, 45, 32, and 34. Some talk he was carrying a bit of a groin issue and after that round 17 one, but he came out in 18 and did a really good job there in that one as well. So he's a guy that you can probably expect to hit 30s. He does come up against the Roosters this week, but it does get easier after that with Para, Dragons, and the Rabbitohs before Penrith there. So he's definitely not the worst cash out either at 312k. Probably have him at 3rd on the list just because there's a small chance that he does lose his spot, whereas the other guys are very, very safe. So he's the 3rd best cash out or cheapie of the week. Jackie Howarth could do a job for you. Leo Hopewadi, had to mention him as well after his cracking 81 last week. It was up against Newcastle. He does come up against the Titans into Roosters, which should be a little bit harder, both of those into a bye. So it's not the best little run for Manly boys. Price at 31 as well is fairly high. And we know there that on the wings, probably not going to be the easiest spot going forward against harder teams. So at 432k, he's solid, but I don't think he's a best pickup. That's for sure. Ali Leataua, 320k. Price at 23. He's had the 1 game this year, 41. Picked up a try, 2 line breaks, so did good stuff there. And then had 39 in 68 minutes in round 15. So I was super excited about him at the beginning of this season. Didn't get the spot until a chance against the Panthers in round 11, which is pretty wild. But I think that was when they won in Origin in Magic Round. That was fun. So yeah, Ali, is he going to keep his spot? They do have a couple of guys out. So how long is going to be there? Can he earn his spot? Does Roger stay on the wing? There's a bunch of question marks here. I think there's too many to pick him up at 320. If it was 230, maybe. But you could take the plunge. I just don't think it's the best idea. And then Xavier Savage. So just a little tidbit there that Mark Jessup threw out there. That's the scores that he had across the beginning of the season when he was starting on that wing and scoring tries and doing good things. That all coincided with them doing well, for one. But also coincides with Fogarty being there. But we know Fogarty brings a good kicking game and also just a bit of more of a winning formula for this side. So if they can start to play a bit better, he has been scoring tries. He has scored a few in recent history, and that's basically where he's at. He has a bunch of games at the start of the season, 30 to 35, which he did here in round 11 when he scored round 13 with a 38, and then unfortunately a 22 with a try in round 15. So he could score okay for you. Price of 21. He's averaging 26 for the season. You could probably expect a 30 to 28 to 32 going forward. But not the best pick in the world, but very cheap at 294. And there's no clear cash outs this week that are going to be playing all season. And Savage is the only guy that's under 300k that is likely to play for the entirety of the season. So there you go, guys. That's the cash outs cheapies of the week, plus the Origin carnage, the Origin fallout, and also my thoughts on that game from last night. Absolutely incredible. Great fun to watch. And I look forward to next year's Origin efforts. And I hope that these cash outs can help you this week. See you guys.